There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
So for car audio enthusiasts, the term DSP actually has quite a few meanings. For some, it's a means to controlling your environment and adjusting the sound in our environment like car to make it sound better. For others, they might refer to it as a simple black box that helps you connect sound and get control over the sound system in a given vehicle. Well, today we're going to go deeper on what the meaning of DSP is and how it applies to different processes within the recording of the music itself and different technologies and applications that DSP is used in. It's going to be a different one, but it's certainly one you don't want to miss. This is CMA Workshop, Audiotec Fischer DSP, and it starts now. Hey, welcome everybody to another CMA workshop presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Now, as I said at the top, this one's going to be a little bit of a different one because we've spent all month showing you guys one brand at a time. You know, what is DSP? How does it work? What is the interface? Walked you through different software renditions and maybe even some tuning tricks. Well, today I think we're going to have a deeper dive and bring in some real experts in the professional field of sound and give you guys a better scope as to the significance of DSP and how it applies to car audio. And to help connect the dots, well, we're going to bring in our good friends from MSC. Let's start first with their president, Mr. Larry Penn. And at the same time, we're going to, of course, bring in the DSP cowboy himself, Mr. Chris Van Rye. What's going on, guys? Larry.
Morning, Ben.
Yes. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm just wondering why the cowboy isn't wearing his hat.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I thought we talked about this, but anyhow, we're happy to have you guys on the show.
You still haven't given me my DSP cowboy title down here yet. So.
Oh, now you're asking for it. Now I'm going to get you a stamp. Game over now. All right.
Yeah, brand. It's got to be a brand.
It's be like a beef brand. You know what I mean? You're in Alberta. Okay, so let's get to it. This one's going to be a different one. When we first started discussing and planning for this show, I'm not going to lie. You know, we're going through DSP sessions. We're giving the dealers that information, which is important. You know, software and hardware, and system setups and how to integrate and all these kind of things. And when this kind of concept came about, Larry, I'm not going to lie, you had my ears like really perked because what is DSP? You know, so many people who are in the industry in car audio may not have experience with DSP outside of the car realm. So this is going to be a little bit different approach. I'd like you to share with us a little bit on your thoughts on putting the show together.
Yeah, I figured, DSP to many is a means to an end of getting into the OEM systems in today's new cars and getting sound out of it. And we're going to try and separate those two into what DSP actually is. And this goes way back for me because, as I've said in previous episodes, my background started when I was a young kid with my dad building Heathkit and Hafler amplifiers on the kitchen table. And then rolling into home audio, I was a sales and a system specialist in home audio. And the first real commercially available device for home audio was built by Yamaha, separate outboard processor. And you and I had that discussion yesterday. And that really tweaked my interest. Not saying it was all good, but it tweaked my interest into what DSP could be used for and what it could do for sound overall, and more specifically in the car, because that was my domain. And I was the first in Canada to play with the Clarion ADCS1, which was a suitcase-sized DSP processor with hot swappable 2-channel DSP cards in there, and played around with that. And specialized computer to set it all up. And when I got that in the car, I meant, man, this solves a lot of the problems that we just can't take away and change like we do in the home audio world. So being somebody that wants to have our dealers understand the roots of what we're doing and why we're doing it and what is DSP, we thought we'd bring in some heavy hitters that relate to, as we always talk about, the recording, number one, and number two, the live performance, and how DSP is applied to that. So we have a couple of very special guests that are going to join us to talk about that.
Very, very exciting, Chris. It's not a secret. DSP plays such a critical role in every day, especially for the modern, car audio shop, because we're dealing with a hostile environment when it comes to audio, and that is inside a vehicle. It's not a happy place for sound. We know this, but we've come a long way. So what are we going to achieve today with having these specialists speak to us and help us connect the dots?
It's exactly that. It's connecting the dots. Is this little black box that we're using in these cars, that we're using for a variety of different things. We need to understand that this isn't just a little black box that's been invented for car audio. This is used in every aspect of audio design, from action to live performance, all the way back into the studio. When engineers are in there working their magic, they are looking at phasing and frequency response and levels and matching all of these instruments together, put this piece of art in front of you. And if we're not going back at it from the other side and doing our part to make sure the environment is able to reproduce what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to deliver to us as a message, then we're missing out on half of what's there. So we really wanted to kind of talk about how this is not just us, but in every aspect of every piece of audio that you ever listen to, DSP has been involved in creating that and delivering it and packaging it and all of that kind of stuff. So we really want to put that into perspective and give some insight as to how this whole thing comes together.
Well, speaking of insight, Larry, why don't you break down for us the type of guests that we have on and what we want to accomplish over the course of the next hour here?
So we're going to start with a very well-known person in our industry, in the music industry, and that's Mr. David Chesky. David is a composer, a musician, an audio technologist. I'm not going to steal all of his thunder because man is very accomplished, and I've been listening to Chesky recordings from Chesky Records for many, many years, and David is the leader of that camp. So we're pretty excited to have him on and talk about the recording process. And he's got a new recording system called the Audiophile Society that he's going to talk about, and heavily implementing DSP in the recording process. And then from an old client of mine many, many moons ago in Calgary is the company PK Sound. Jeremy Bridge, who was kind of the founder of that company. They do some incredible things in speaker design. And well, I'm not going to steal any thunder because they've got a wonderful presentation. But Jeremy was an old SPL competitor back in the day, and I sold him a lot of gear. And he's now been part of building a super successful sound reinforcement company. And we have Daryl Ross on, who is their application specialist, to talk about PK Sound technology and using DSP in their construction to make everything happen. So that's who we got going on, and we're pretty excited.
Amazing. Well, let's get right to it. Let's learn. Let's dive deeper than we've ever gone before. We're going to go beyond any conversation I know that I've had with DSP. I do have some limited experience in studio and home audio, but I think today I'm ready to get schooled, because these are two professionals that absolutely deal with DSP on an everyday basis. So let's go ahead and set this up. Let's go ahead and bring in our very first guest, which of course is Mr. David Chesky. How are you? This is a composer, musician, and audio technologist for something called the Audiophile Society. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
David, you've been in the audiophile recording business for quite some time. Can we start by you giving us a quick background on where you've come from and perhaps where you're headed with all this?
Okay, quick background. I'm a musician, composer. I started as an orchestrator and conductor, and I used to conduct and write for movies and televisions in America. And you know what? I got very interested in sound because I would be on a podium conducting the orchestra, then I'd go back and listen. And you know what? I would listen out there and the band sounded great, the orchestra sounded great, but when I went back into the room, it sounded awful because they had like 50 or 60 microphones, like every instrument had a microphone. And I said, you know something, one day I'm going to start a label and I'm going to do this from the point of perspective of a conductor. You have two ears. I started my label Chesky Record with a C24 microphone that is left and right, and that's how we did all our records. So you're hearing it from the point of a one-point microphone, a one-point person, conductor, in listening to whatever event. If it was jazz, classical, whatever, that's how we did it. That was our recipe. And you know what? I'm not negating people who want to do 100-track recordings. That's cool, but that's how we started. From there, we started doing different types of recording. We were the first to do oversample recordings. I was the first to do 9624, first to do 192. We pioneered DSD, so I did all these formats and pioneered them. Then I said to my brother one day, you know, I noticed these record stores are going away. How are we going to get these high definition products to our customers? We came up with the idea HD tracks. We were the first people to do high resolution transfers on the web. So that's our other company, HD Tracks. Now where I am now is I'm starting a new company because I'm very interested in 3D recording with DSP. And this is my fun project. So how we can expand two things. How we expand the 60-degree triangle for home listening and make it immersive. And we're not talking surround. I'm talking 3D, immersive 3D, which is different than surround. Okay. And then the other thing we can do is externalization with headphones. Normally you listen to headphones, the sound is in your head. We can make it come out to here. So that's what we're trying to do with a lot of cool new young artists as well. I just want to have fun at this point in my life and do the same thing. I've done hundreds of records with one-point microphones, et cetera, et cetera. It's time for me to try something new. So I started this company, the AudiofileSociety.com. You can come, you can get a free sampler, you can check it out for yourself.
Wow. That
That's
was a lot
quick
in one sitting.
Yeah,
It
that
goes
was
a
like
lot. You know
speed
what?
reading with David Chesky.
Listen, I'm leaving out the piano, the ballet, symphony. I'm leaving all that out. That's the quick Reader's Digest version.
Those are the Coles notes. Okay, well, we appreciate
Yeah.
you. I mean, that was great.
Yeah.
When you say binaural, you're talking about like a left and right microphone single source point recording. Is that what you're
There's
referring
two things.
to?
No. First of all, there's Bloomline technology, which is a figure eight capsule, okay? And you pick up left and right. You pick up the M and the S and you melt it together. Or you could do spaced anomalies. Binaural is a head, and the head has an ear, and the ear has the pinna. And the pinna is the most important thing in binaural because that separates binaural from a spaced omni. Because a dummy has an omni microphone, but your ear shape is what makes you sense spatial cues. You know what? No two people have the same fingerprint. No two people have the same pinna. Everybody's pinna is different. This is why it's really hard. And this is why you're going to need DSP in the future to really decode 3D audio because you're going to record it for this dummy head and your pinna is different. Your pinna, so you're going to take a picture and the computer's going to say via DSP, yo, here's Ben's, here's this guy's pinna, and it's tailored for you. So that's going to be the thing, and that's the difference between binaural and spaced omni.
Well, thank you for that clarification. Larry, did you have anything to add to this brief history? Because I want to dig in a bit here.
Yeah, I was just going through memory lane of following David's career because I was the guy listening to all the stuff that he was creating, and everything that he's done is kind of next level. And the Audiophile Society, although limited choice right now because he's just getting going, you need to go on and download that and listen on headphones. There's a headphone mix and there's a 2-channel mix, and he'll get into that later on. And also HD tracks. You guys have heard me talk about this forever and ever and ever. Now, as Canadians, we don't have access to all of the music that we can download from HD tracks, but there's still plenty there that we have rights to that you can go and buy and download. So it's been such an amazing career for David to see the evolution of what he's doing, and we're super excited about the Audiophile Society and the recordings that he's doing. And just a little interjection: you have to go and download his daughter's album. You look at the picture, you listen to her voice. She's got to be mid-20s, but she's actually 14 years old and has an angelic voice that just, in a properly set up system in the car, she's sitting right on the dash and you can hear everything. It's just an amazing, amazing recording.
So I mean, it's no question, you obviously are renowned for your work in creating, really high quality music recordings, right? I'm general.
Yeah.
What's been the driving force though behind delivering such superior listening experience? Is it for the music lovers? Was it just for yourself? What was the driving force behind all
You know what? The driving force of everything is for me. I say I dig it, therefore other people will dig it. I just dig it. Listen, you know what? I'm a musician, but I'm also an addicted audiophile. I love sound. I mean, I spent my life in studios. I've spent my life in the studio, and I just was fascinated by this. I mean, I love speakers and I love this. And I'm going to tell you the thing I dig about audio. Because the kind of music I want to listen to, I can't go to a symphony and hear it Friday night, okay? I can listen to what I want to listen to anytime I want in my house. And if you have a great system, that for me is the best thing. So Sunday, let's say you have tickets Friday night to hear something, you don't feel good, what's the point? Sunday morning, you get up in your pajamas, you hear something on a great stereo, you get in your car, you hear it there. You can hear whatever you want in anytime you want it. And for me, the goal is to remove. It's like a glass. I want to remove the glass and make it as clear as I can so you're right in the room with the musicians. Whether it's in a car or whether it's in your home, there's nothing between you and the musicians. I don't want you to have my version. I want you to be there with the musicians.
Amazing. That's one of the best explanations I've ever heard about that. So you mentioned the Audiophile Society. Larry was just talking it up. What makes this project different from everything else that's available out there? Because I have heard of different options or different avenues to get higher end audio tracks. Give us some gravy here.
Okay, the Audiophile Society is about spatial audio. Here's the thing. Let's go with speakers for a second. You have speaker, left and right speaker. You sit in a 60-degree triangle. The music doesn't go past the speaker, right? I found a way with DSP to get way past the speaker. Okay, so it's immersive, it's massive. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. And then you feel that you're in a space. Okay, it's and the thing about this is you don't need other things. There are devices you can spend money and you could do crosstalk cancellation, many things to make it bigger, but you got to start doing this. What I'm doing is doing my own thing and printing it on the file. You just play it back, it's there. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If you have speakers set up in a room with a concrete floor and all glass windows, save your money. Because you have to have a treated room. I don't know if it's a car, a room, anything you want. It has to be treated because I want you to have a direct sound from your speaker to your ear without any extra reflections, because I'm going to put the reflections in there I want you to hear. So I don't need to hear your TV set reflection, your glass window reflection, because that's only going to mess up what I'm doing. So the idea is for, if you want to listen to this back or anything back, people should have a setup. You should be in the near field, a 60-degree triangle, okay? And if your speakers are 10 feet apart, you should be 10 feet away as well. Equidistant triangle, and have a room that's treated. If you're in the near field, if your room is bad, then be in the near field. The next thing we're doing is 3D with headphones. When you hear headphones, it's always coming from inside your head. We're working on ways to externalize it and put you in a space as well. So those are the two things: externalization with headphones and immersive experience with two speakers.
I'm just going to comment on that. I can sort of imagine what you're doing with the 2-channel system and building up that stage beyond the physical position of the speakers. The headphone thing, I don't even understand, because I mean, the speakers are going right into your ear. Don't understand how you can do that, which leads me to my next question. How exactly are you using DSP to capture or manipulate to deliver such a, immersive experience, as you would say, from the music standpoint?
I use DSP different than you guys. You guys use DSP primarily, I guess, to make sure the room is flat, to make sure there's no reflections, blah, blah, blah. I use DSP as a paintbrush. I say to myself, you know what? I want more stuff there. I'm going to create it with DSP. I want this to come up, DSP. I want this to go back. I create these 3-dimensional spaces with the artistry of DSP, not following any textbook or law of science saying this. I go by my ear and I use it as a paintbrush. I know that the combination of this sound and this sound will equal this. So that's what we're doing over here, is kind of doing the creative aspect of DSP. And we print it on the tape, and then you play it back. And if your system is set up, you'll feel like you're in a space, or the people are right there. You know what? Sometimes when I hear hi-fi music, it sounds like paper cutouts. There's no density to the sound. I want my records to sound like, there's like somebody there with a few 100 pounds of density there, and the spaces in the objects are in a real space that it's dense, not this flat paper cutout. So that's what we're trying to do, give you really good front to back depth, great spatial cues, and we can also put height information in there. By doing phase manipulation tricks, we can trick the brain into thinking it's height. A good thing to prove my point that everybody should go online and watch is something called the McGurk effect, because we don't listen, we don't see in the world, we interpret it. And the brain is hardwired for certain things. The McGurk effect is a little explanation. The guy's going ba, 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 and then he says va, va, va. When he says ba, they superimpose him saying va, and you'd swear $1 million bet he's saying va when he's saying ba, because the eye trumps the ear. And as human beings, we're hardwired to certain things. And the worst place human beings hear is right in front of your nose. Why? Because you have eyes there. And it's a bitch. And this is the hard thing with binaural. It's the weakest part of the binaural spectrum, because the brain says, I don't need to hear well there. My eyes are going to tell me what's there. It's fight or flight. It's all based, it's their survival. So you should check this out, this McGurk effect. It's really cool. And also, like I said, we have to trick the brain into thinking we're in spaces.
Amazing stuff. And surely this is technology that's progressed over the years. I mean, none of this manipulation you're doing is a physical manipulation of the recording, but done in the post, correct? Through your DSP manipulation.
Yes, it's all done with DSP. And you know what? The theories have been around for 70 years. Some of these theories, crosstalk cancellation, but they could never be implemented. We didn't have the computer powers, the processing DSP power. Now that we can implement it, it can be done. And, and I'm sure as microprocessors get faster and faster, I'm sure the guys are working on this at Meta, at Facebook, with the glasses. You see the virtual reality, you get a headache now because the processing power is not fast enough. You have the screen door effect. Mm-hmm. And when they get that, the 4 or 8K, then all of a sudden you're going to feel that you're there. And it's the same thing with audio. That's why we use higher sampling rates, to make you, so the brain says, wow, I'm kind of in this space. It's, what we're doing? It's magic, Las Vegas magic. Because you know what? You're in a car, you're hearing two speakers. You're in your home, you're hearing two speakers. There's no musicians there, but we want to create the illusion that you're in a space. It's all illusion, magic, okay? And it's entertainment. And the idea is, what is the best magic trick we can create for the consumer?
That is exactly right. You nailed that one on the head. My last question to you, you touched on it, and that was about optimizing your listening space. Now, as you know, we have a really crappy listening space in a vehicle, right? In a car, there's all kinds of materials and obstructions and speaker placements and stuff like that. But in your world, how important, to what level is the importance of that space when it comes to optimizing that listener experience to recreate what you're trying to establish?
Sure. Look, there's two ways to listen. If you're cooking dinner and you want to hear music in the background, it doesn't matter, anything. But if you want to listen to music and recreate what we're trying to do and make it a very immersive thing, then you need to make sure that your walls are treated, you don't have, hard surfaces all the place, and you're in the near field and you're in an equilateral triangle. You know what? If we watch Star Wars on our iPhone, you can follow it. But it's not the same experience as watching it on an IMAX screen. Correct. And that's all we're doing. You can listen to the music while you're cooking your dinner, but it's not the same experience as sitting in front of two great speakers, whether it's in a car or your house, and really like getting that, wow, this is amazing. Okay? Because we can listen to our favorite songs on the worst AM radio and you can still enjoy it. We're just creating a different experience.
Next level stuff.
Yeah.
Larry, I'm going to leave you the last words before we let.
Yeah, I think what
David
David's
go.
saying, in the home environment, we can do all those things. In the car, we were joking in the backstage before we came on of putting treatment all over the windows, front, back windows, side windows, and just mashing the throttle and driving on autopilot in a Tesla. I guess it might work. But in the car, we can we know the importance of DSP to try and tame some of these things and do some signal alignment on all the drivers in the car so we can take advantage of David's magic and his illusion. And when you hear that on a properly calibrated car system, it's special in the car. It adds another dimension of the drive, and we encourage you all to do that. So
Very,
the
very good.
Audiophile Society, get down there and buy the albums that are available. You're not going to have DJ Jazzy Bass Bugger on there, but you will have some good music.
What kind of music? Can I ask? What kind of music should I expect when I go there? What types of music?
Well, we have, we just started out. We have 7 records. We hope to have 20 by the end of the year. We have blues, we have jazz, we have soul, we have classical, that kind of stuff. And we're going to also have
with vocal or
music.
mostly instrumental.
Some is vocal, some is instrumental. Okay. We're going to also have some ambient music and computer music and things like that as well.
Nice.
And we have some extremely. I have a record on the graffiti jazz. Some of the tracks, if you want to test the subwoofer out and your neighbors are not home, that's it, because they go really
We don't care
low.
about if the neighbors are home, just so you know.
No, it'll shake. It'll shake the. Some of the tracks in my graffiti jazz will shake any subwoofer in a car, or because I did it on purpose. I have subs here. I said, I'm just going to put some incredibly deep bass in here, and it's there.
Beauty.
Cool.
Can't thank you enough, David, for joining us. I know you're busy.
Thanks for having me. This
was very, very insightful information, and certainly we're going to be discussing this well beyond this one show. So thank you so much.
Great. You guys be safe and have a good day. Cheers.
Take care.
Thanks, David.
Okay.
Take care,
David.
All right. So that was a very interesting individual indeed. His name, of course, is David Chesky from the Audiophile Society. Make sure we check that out if you're into some serious high definition immersive audio stuff. Let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. So then we're going to go to another angle here to give you some more perspective and add more layers to this cake, if you will. This next guest is the global application support individual for a company called PK Sound. His name is Daryl Ross. Let's go ahead and bring him into the studio and find out what his take on all this is and what we can learn from him.
Hey, everyone.
Daryl, welcome to the show.
Hey, Daryl.
Thank you for having me.
First and foremost, let's learn about you. You know, who you are, what is your position at PK Sound, and what you're all about.
So I work for PK Sound. We're a loudspeaker manufacturer in Calgary, Canada. And my specific position is global application support, which essentially is handling customer education, customer support at a sort of top level, and then we get deeper as they need to go. So I do product development and technical sales as well.
Very good, very good. So we've established that you're certainly a specialist within your realm. Of course, the follow-up question, this is, who is PK Sound? And I think with that, we have a presentation that will better illustrate that story right there. So let's go ahead and pull up this presentation so that Daryl can tell us all about who PK Sound is.
Okay, I don't know if everybody can see me. I maybe I'm off to the side, but
you're off to the side.
PK Sound's a loudspeaker manufacturer in Calgary, Canada. We're well known throughout the world in the last few years with a innovative product, which is known as the Robotic line array. So in the concert industry, the live performance industry, these arrays of loudspeakers help have even SPL and frequency response over distance. So if you can imagine you're in a venue and you're either at the front or the back, we want the listening experience to be exactly the same. Historically, this has been a number of loudspeakers that were just simply pinned together, and you set the angles by pinning in a certain place, and there's a lot of lifting and pushing and pulling. And what we wanted to do was make that easier, safer, and faster. So we put robotics in the loudspeakers. And not only does that allow us to fly it up straight, move them into position while they're in the air, it also allows us to make changes while they're in the air. And in this video clip, you probably might have seen that the waveguides, which are essentially the mid and high frequency section, they will move shortly towards the top of the frame there. We can also take the room out of the equation. So for example, typically if you go see a concert and you have a left and right PA hang, chances are that PA hang is going to hit the wall and bounce back in. So someone further in the back of the room is going to have a lessened experience because they're hearing both the on-axis portion of the PA, but also the reflected portion. So we can also change our directivity to suit venues as necessary. So that's me. We already went through that. And again, so back history of PK Sound. So we were established in 2005. Jeremy, who Larry referred to earlier, was building loudspeakers in his garage. And we started doing a lot of electronic music events here in the west coast of Canada. Once we started doing some of the larger acts like Skrillex or Bass Nectar, we decided we needed to buy or build a better box. And that's how the sort of concept of the large format robotic line array came about. And now, we're doing anything from Hamilton the musical to country music to metal music. And our customer base is growing quite rapidly because we offer a piece of technology that no one else has. So, follow-up questions with regards to DSP. So where do we use DSP? Well, there's two sort of sides of the experience, and my job is to help on both sides. First, as a loudspeaker manufacturer, you need DSP in the design and manufacturing of the product process because it needs to sound right and it needs to sound good. But more importantly, it needs to be repeatable and consistent. And that same sort of concept passes over to the live event side after we've sold the products. We need our customers to be able to deploy the product so it sounds right and it sounds good, and it needs to be easy and fast, and how to use the DSP to your advantage when you get on site. On the design and manufacturing side, DSP is incredibly important. So here's an example of one of our large format loudspeakers, and it's a full range cabinet where it plays from basically 70 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and it uses 4 different sets of drivers to do so. So you can see here the low frequency drivers play from 70 to 250, mid frequency from 250 to 700. The high frequency section plays from 700 to 7K, and the VHF section would play from 7K and up. And we absolutely need DSP to obviously control the crossover of these products when they speak together, and also ensure that they're time aligned so that all the sound is hitting you at the exact same point in time. We're somewhat unique in the industry. There's a few manufacturers like us that include the DSP and amplification in the product. There are other products out there where the amplification and DSP is external in amp racks that are on the ground, and they have to run massive looms of cable up. We took the approach, just get power and signal to the box, and then you have control of it via your software. With DSP, we also control the EQ side of it. So this is from an input and output standpoint. And DSP in our world is also heavily utilized to ensure protection of the product, whether it's gain reduction, limiting. The type of limiter might be initially a soft knee, it might be a brick wall, there might be full power limits. DSP is used in all these sort of stages of the manufacturing process to ensure that this product, this one box, sounds a certain way and does a certain thing. But further to that, the need for it to sound good and sound right, you also need to have every product that comes off the line sound the same. So, if you look at our graphics here on the right, we want to ensure that product after product after product sounds exactly the same, because the customer in the end needs that to happen, especially in large format concert touring where you have these line arrays. If any one product is deficient in low frequency or high frequency or somewhere in the middle, that's going to affect the line and produce a poor result. And then not only that, but we need to have a sonic fingerprint that when we produce our smaller products, that it sounds the same as well. I remember when I got into car audio that, I would buy a JL Audio amplifier, and I would get a birth certificate for that. And every one of our products essentially also has a birth certificate, because we need to ensure that it's sounding exactly the way we want it to. And that way it also interacts with the subwoofers, for example, in the bottom image there, that the crossover is correct. We get the right um, uh, slope to our overall sonic signature. So that's where we use it, specifically in manufacturing, is ensuring that every product coming off the line is exactly the same or as close to it as possible, because some drivers might be a little bit slightly different than each other, and we have to make sure that they fit that same frequency response and amplitude. And the live side of things, this is where we use DSP in a slightly different way as a sort of a whole. So typically in the workflow of a live production, you have setup. And once you're done setting up, you start giving everything power. You'll send it pink noise. You'll set up an RTA mic and a piece of software. Quite often in our industry, a lot of people use a product called Smart with 2 A's. And they start looking at, number one, the frequency response, especially in how the venue affects that frequency response, and then also the time alignment. So they use DSP, or we use DSP, to help them properly time align the full range product to the subwoofers, for example, on the floor. And then the front fills need to be time aligned, then the outfills need to be time aligned, and if you're in a big enough venue, even the delays need to be time aligned back to the stage. So DSP is used quite often in both the time alignment and EQ and phase part of setting up a show and ensuring that everybody has a good day. So yeah, that's where large format and live events are using DSP these days. And as DSP advances in terms of filtering, people wonder, like, why would you need FIR filters or IIR filters and things like that? Well, it's to demystify it a little bit. We want to ensure that if you're at a concert and it's a very large concert, that these really large speakers that are in front of you aren't like melting your face if you're in the front row. So something like an FIR filter would be used to tame the high frequency, which can be pretty damaging, almost weaponizing if you're that close to a large format speaker. We want to tame that high and mid frequency down without breaking the coherence of that entire array, or that in phase, if you will, of the entire array. So yeah.
I got some questions for you real quick on this presentation.
Sure.
And you said something there that really rings with us, because it's something that we promote a lot here on CMA, and Larry and Chris have always promoted this. And in your manufacturing side of things, by the use of the DSP to guarantee results in repeatability and predictability. And that is so key, because for dealers, for us, when we're teaching them about a system, for them to be profitable, they have to be able to guarantee repeatable business and predictable results. And it's good to see that same philosophy applies on the manufacturing side, Larry. I think you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, as Ben said, we've always discussed the predictability of what's the system going to sound like when we get it done, and then we need to repeat it over and over and over again. Well, you've also heard the line production high end. So although we're building one-off systems, we have that signature sound. In this case, in our proof of concept retail store, it's the mobile solution sound, and we educate our dealers to have that sonic signature for them as well. And Daryl hit the nail on the head, that not only does it have to sound good and sound right, repeatably and predictably, but it's got to be fast and easy. Because although I'm not from the pro audio world and Daryl's not from our world, the same systems apply. Time is money. And when they are, the main goal is to give, correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, but the main goal is to give that listener the experience of a lifetime. They've paid to be there. They've flown in from out of town. They're there to see their favorite band, or they're there to dance party away to all their EDM favorites. That's the important part to us in the car, is that's their experience every day. So the concept is the exact same.
I have a couple comments. So, like, your industry and our industry is exactly the same in that, you could have the best sounding sound system in the world, but if it's deployed incorrectly, the last thing anybody's going to want to do is sit in front of your sound system again.
Especially if
And
it's melting your face off.
Some
With
kids
a
like
sonic
that.
assault, right? No, for
Some
sure.
kids like that. But there's a saying we have in the industry is no one goes home humming the light show.
Right. That's right.
And the last thing you want to do is be the point of failure in a concert. The lights can go out. If there's no sound, that's a problem. Lights go out, you can still hear the artist.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I want to comment on is in the live production side of things. I just had to make the comment. I'm going to ask Chris to comment on this as well. That process of once everything is set up, of having the RTA, getting the microphone, setting up the delays. I mean, that's exactly almost page per page, exactly what we have to do in car as well, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, the basic fundamentals of how you're putting that system together and what you're delivering to the audience, or in our case, the pilot of the car itself, the same processes are there. And it's interesting to me because my first interaction with PK was at a small venue here in Calgary. It's a historic music site. And I remember sitting in there having a drink. They had music playing in the background, kind of, as David had mentioned, just background noise. But it came on, and there was a song that I had known really well, and it was like the artist was there. I started looking around. I thought the stage was empty up there, and it was. Well, sure enough, I look up and I see the monitors, PK's monitors all the way around. I see the little badge, and I started investigating into it. And the technologies that these guys use, and especially today with Daryl kind of expanding on his processes of dealing with time alignment, getting these systems in phase as best as possible, optimizing equalization. This is how you're going to deliver this stuff. And the fact that this company can sit down with their same basic process, the same basic equipment, the same technologies, but deliver the best possible experience from a Broadway show like Hamilton to Dierks Bentley, a country show, to EDC in front of 250,000 or more people, and an artist like Skrillex, who has such a signature sound that is basically there to bash your insides into oblivion with bass response. These are all people who have chosen this process and these products that PK is using, and seeing how heavily they rely on DSP to be able to consistently deliver what those artists are trying to accomplish is an absolute testament to what our industry is trying to do. It's the exact same thing.
I have to comment on one more thing, and that is, Daryl, not only are you optimizing DSP technology in both manufacturing and the live performance, EQing, all that, but now to have the physical robotic maneuvering.
Isn't that cool shit?
That's just next level. Like, when are we getting robotic car audio, guys? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Last question for you. Obviously, I'm still mind blown a little bit, but the value of going with a PK sound system, between the robotic arm and on the DSP application, to really custom tailor that experience to either the artist or that type of music, and most importantly, to that venue. I mean, that just provides incredible solutions at a next level type of approach. Daryl.
Yeah, I was telling Larry a quick story. There was a music festival where one of our customers was deploying a PK sound system, and they did their sound check. Everything was good. Everybody goes home for the day, come back in the morning, pull the tarps off of everything, fire it up, and food trucks come in on house right. And the playing area suddenly had essentially a reflective surface 200 feet that way. But because of our loudspeakers being quite wide, when you have them wide open, I was about 400 feet back, and I was hearing a snare drum coming from the stage, and then a couple milliseconds later, also from the right. And it was the sound bouncing off that food truck and hitting me. So I radioed over to front of house where the operator was, and I said, could you take those waveguides and take just the house right side and move the top 3 boxes in 30 degrees? And suddenly it was gone. And to be able to do that live and on the fly, that's one of the reasons why, we're getting noticed, because things change all the time. Another thing that's interesting is, the weather gets really bad and suddenly there's a really strong headwind. Well, most of the loudspeaker deployers in the world will immediately lower the motors and rest those PAs down because they're a massive wind load. And when you do that, when you take this curved PA and suddenly touch it down, now there's speakers firing into the stage or into the back of the security guards in front of the subwoofers, and it's just not practical. And in our world, we're like, sure, type in a few angles, change the shape of the PA, and as it comes down, it actually still hits the audience, even though it's touched down.
I mean,
There's
to physically adjust that on the fly, it's not possible. I mean, it's just not possible. I don't care how much manpower you have. It's just, you have a crowd there. You've got all these obstacles that weren't there during setup. There's a million different things why you can't do that on the fly. But with that, it just kind of solves it all. Larry, I'm going to give you the last word before we let Daryl go.
Cheers.
Yeah, I think you can understand with our excitement of understanding from recording to now with Chesky to the live representation of what our customers are coming to hear. Now, don't think for a moment that the majority of people coming to see Dirk Bentley with the PK sound system, there's going to be freaks like Chris and I will go, it's PK sound system, let's go listen to it. But the majority of the crowd is there to do what? They're there to experience that show for 2 hours of their life. And it's guys like Daryl that are taking the time to get that reflection off the food truck away. The regular end use consumer doesn't know why that's there, but now they're at that show and they're going to enjoy themselves immensely without any complaints about the audio and the reproduction. And that's what we want to do on the car side, is tame all those things, even though the consumer doesn't know they're there. The consumer doesn't need to know that we're doing this with our system, just like they don't need to know that it's robotic waveguides. It's just the fact that the people that are setting up the system for that customer, that end user, that music lover to have the experience, that's what PK Sound is doing in the live realm. That's what David Chesky is doing in the recording realm. And that's what our dealers were teaching them and helping them understand the importance of delivering that experience to the end user in the car every time they fire it up.
Very good. Daryl, I want to thank you on behalf of all of us here for taking the time today. Great presentation and super cool stuff. I really hope one day I get to experience a PK Sound driven concert.
Cheers. Thank you very much for having me.
Daryl, thank you very much,
Take
dude.
care.
Appreciate your
Cheers.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a second. I'm going to reflect on everything I learned here. I'm going to bring back Larry and Chris one more time to kind of close this discussion out, because this was being a very insightful workshop in a different way. No, we didn't show you any screen shares on how to set up your DSP. No, we didn't tell you, build your system and equalize and set channel settings and crossovers. What we did do on this one, though, is we gave you some insight as to how DSP is used outside of just our industry so that you can get a broader understanding of what it means to us in the car audio world. Let's go ahead and bring Chris and Larry back and finalize this discussion. Chris, I'll start with you. What was your biggest takeaway from these two guests that you hope dealers understood today?
Well, I mean, both guys brought something incredibly unique. David Chesky, obviously, his opinion of using it as a paintbrush and using it to create and deliver what's going on in his mind and what the artist is trying to deliver as a message into the systems is huge, telling us how much work goes in up front that we're trying to reproduce, that this isn't just going to be chuck some speakers in the stock locations off the factory radio and hey, we got a great audio system. No, there's more to it. If we really want to bring that Vegas magic trick, as he called it, to life, we've got to be able to optimize on our end. And he talked about some of the rules that we oblige to in the home audio world. We can't in the car, but the DSP sure gives us a lot of tools to help get us as close as physically possible in this hostile environment that we're doing. Daryl obviously goes in a whole different direction than David, but also very applicable to what we're doing and trying to accomplish this stuff and all the work that they have to do to create the best possible experience. I mean, Larry had touched on it a little bit, that these people are spending all this money, they're taking time off work, they're traveling, they're going to other cities and getting hotels and rental cars and dinners and all this stuff for this unbelievable musical experience. But when they've got something that's truly special, it hangs with them even longer. And we talked about Dirk Bentley. Okay, maybe it doesn't draw the traditional audiophile crowd, but I guarantee you, from an artist standpoint, if he shows up, plays for 18,000 people in an arena, and every one of them is hell-bent on buying tickets for the next time he's in town because of how great a musical experience it was, his ticket price rises.
Mhm.
And as these artists can continue to do that, they can build their lives around that kind of stuff. Well, it's the same thing in our shops. As we build better products and deliver more accomplished audio systems, people see more value in what we're trying to actually do. They're going to show it off to their friends. They're going to brag about it. They're going to make sure that they never have another car that doesn't have your branded system in there. They are clients for life when we can recreate that kind of stuff. And I'm always intrigued because in the 12-volt world, we get these clients that come in and, he's not the audiophile type. He doesn't want that. Well, in most cases, these people don't know that they want that. Daryl talked about the food truck. None of those guys know that happened, that was a problem that had to be solved. The client doesn't know what they want. They know they want great sound.
Yeah, can you imagine? Oh, honey, look at those food trucks. That's really going to screw up our experience.
No, said no
That's
ever.
not happening. Yeah, it
Other
said no
than,
one ever.
oh my God, look at the great food options that we
Right.
just got here. Hey,
We,
Larry, I'm
we
going to set you up. I need to set you up with this. I heard what Chris said. I want to bring this to light. Unfortunately, we spent here at CMA Networks, we've invested an incredible amount of time with tons of great partners talking about DSP all month. Why do we have to spend so much time on this? Because there is a misconception, I believe, out there onto what DSP is. And I believe what we accomplished with today's session is to explain it a little bit better, take it out of the bubble of car audio, right? And show exactly what DSP is in other realms and other facets within audio, right? Both recording and live. Because it's not just, we say the word DSP, oh, you need a DSP, you don't need it. It's not about that. I want you to take it from there.
Yeah, the complication in understanding what DSP is, basically we want to control the sound in an uncontrolled environment. That's what DSP is. And as David says, we need to create the illusion, the magic trick of that artist being in the car with us. That's what DSP does. And then on the other side, because of all the dealers we visit and train and talk to, DSP is often misinterpreted as a way to integrate with the factory OEM audio systems. So there's integration tools from PAC and Metra and NavTV and Mobridge and Helix that let us get into the factory system. And then we're using DSP to fix it all. And
right. That's the separation right there. One is to access the data, information / signal. Then the rest is what you treat the signal. So there's two separate sides of the story here.
Absolutely. And there's companies like us with Audiotec Fischer that do an amazing job of combining OEM integration tricks as our one-to-one channel routing and input signal analyzer and all-pass filter and also referred to as phase EQ, all that other stuff. We've got all that stuff in there, which is part of the integration side. And then we have DSP on the tuning side. And that is allowing us to do exactly the same thing that Daryl does when they go set up a show at a new venue to make sure that band sounds the same no matter whether they're playing in Vancouver, Toronto, Miami. It's their signature sound. And we need to have all of our dealers understand, as Chris mentioned, and probably that's the biggest takeaway for me all day, is exactly what Chris said. As those artists get better and better and put on more involving live performances, guess what? They get to charge more. And Chris, well, I guess I got to buy him lunch today because that was the biggest takeaway for me on the show. Yeah, he definitely needs a new Stetson because that's what we need to understand. And I can't drive this home enough that if we don't understand what DSP can do for us, it's not an option. It's a necessity. It's a requirement to deliver a proper audio experience in the car. And if it doesn't excite you to sit down and create this magic illusion Vegas trick that David's talking about in the car, like when Chris and I tune a car, we're giddy when it's all done because it's like, wow, we took this pile of crap over here and now we've created this illusion. If you can't get excited about that, then you're in the wrong business because that's what we're doing. We're creating that illusion for the client. And we're there to help you get that excitement rolling because nobody gets any more excited about it than our company.
I'll tell you what, incredible show today, guys. Super insightful. I hope those tuned in took away what we took away from it. we didn't talk about product today, and I have to give you hats off on this one. This was an educational one, and it took a lot of planning, and I think you achieved what we wanted to do here. And I'm sure this is going to be a video that's going to be talked about on the boards, and once the word gets out. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to do my job and plug you right. So if you're looking for more information from these guys, obviously we're talking about Audiotec Fischer. We're talking from the top down, Brax products, Helix products, and of course Match products. Tons of integration features built in. Check out their website. It's audiotecfisher.de. That's kind of the international site where you can get all that information. And of course, if you want more information on being a dealer, regardless if you're in Canada or the US, it's msc-america.com. We'll bring those numbers up just in a bit while I finish with you guys. Chris and Larry, thank you so much for putting this one together. On behalf of the entire industry, I think this was something that was long overdue.
Thank you, and that's what it's about for us.
Beautiful. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Ciao.
Take care. Again, I'm going to take that opportunity to go out and bring up that information if you missed it. If you want more information on Audiotec Fischer products, check out their international website, audiotec-fisher.de. And if you're interested in becoming a dealer and learning more and getting trained by MSC on how to profit from being a DSP dealer and how to properly apply yourselves, well, check it out, msc-america.com, whether you're in the US or you're in Canada. I want to also take the opportunity to thank our guests, both Daryl as well as David, for joining us today and sharing with us what they know and how they deal with DSP. On that note, still talking about DSP because we are right through till July 28th as we close out our DSP sessions, which literally features every single brand in DSP one-on-one each and every single day. Make sure you check that out. And if you haven't already, of course, visit cmanetworks.com. If you like this video and many more that we've done with the boys over here at MSC, go ahead and check out their page, as well as all things Audiotec Fischer. On that note, thank you for sticking with us on this very unique CMA workshop presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Stop it. Yo, roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?